Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Sometimes you have a week that feels like everything was unbelievable and you realize that perhaps it was meant to feel that way. The Cantor, myself, Dean Ross, our president, and Jeff Rothman went to DC on Tuesday. I was not afraid to go because I knew that I would be standing with so many other Jews from other denominations, and that this is the place that I needed to be. It was my responsibility as a Jew, my responsibility as a rabbi, and my responsibility as a human being to stand up. And what I think we found there, standing among 200,050 other Jews.
No, 290,000.
290,000 other Jews was this incredible sense of oneness. There were black hatters there were secular Jews, there were Israeli Jews who were speaking Hebrew and shoving, and we would speak back in Hebrew because they didn't think that American Jews could speak Hebrew.
Rabbi, only 2 people got in a fight with us. Okay, we were good. No, my husband wasn't there.
Now, we realized that we're short and we can move quickly through a crowd, and a lot of people didn't appreciate that.
That's why I put her in the front.
But at one point I realized that I was standing shoulder to shoulder with a black hat, and I turned and I said, "I'm sorry, I know this goes against your tradition, I'm not your wife." And he said, "There are times when we need to let go of halakha, that we just need to be one." And he said, "So, we're standing together, experiencing this together." I reached out to the Orthodox rabbi in Red Bank to talk about the candle lighting. And before, in years past, there was an issue with Kol Isha, the voice of a woman. And, I said to him, "Look, I've heard that in the past you've had trouble with officiating with women clergy because of hearing a woman's voice. What if I do the main part of the talking and you light the candles and you sing the blessings?" And he thought about it for a second and he said, "That works. Can we go out for coffee next week?" He said, "Of course I'll have to bring my wife, but I'd really like to get to know you." And then I learned that in Israel, over 4,000 ultra-Orthodox who have never served in the army or never wanted to serve in the army because they don't feel that Israel is a state, decided to join the army and to fight because Israel means something to them. Now, I don't know what this means, but I think the Jewish world is changing. And I think that it's going to be like it was thousands of years ago, where there weren't denominations fighting about ridiculous, silly things. And that maybe we can all be together in a room, just as Jews, learning from each other's experiences and sharing life together and supporting Israel together. We begin on page 654 with Erev Shoshanim.
This is a piece that's often sung in Israel, and it's from our tradition, from the writings of Song of Songs. (654) Erev shel Shoshanim, netzeh el habuston, mor besamim ulevona, lera שחר המיונה, ראשך מלא צלים, פיך אל הבוקר שושנה, תקפנו לי. לילה יורד לאט, ורוח שושנות שבח, אבל החלך שיר בלט, זמר של אהבה.
If we look at the words together, we realize that this is a love song, and it's often used in wedding ceremonies. So as we go into services tonight, I'd like us to read this in English. It is an evening of roses. Let us go out to the grove. Myrrh, spices, and frankincense are a carpet for you to tread. The night comes slowly, and a breeze of roses is blowing. Let me whisper a ballad, a song of love. It is dawn, a dove is cooing. Your hair is filled with dew. Your lips are like a rose to the morning. I shall pick it for myself. When we come into a synagogue, especially on Shabbat evening, we come from so many different places. We come from running errands, or being with our families, or trying to get to the gym and trying to get food shopping done, or whatever we need to do. And we often don't take space from the parking lot until we enter the building. And so we come in here and we're asked to make space to be present for Shabbat while we're still thinking about everything that we did not accomplish today. So before we light the Shabbat candles and say the Kiddush, I'd like everyone to take a deep breath in and let it out, letting everything go that you don't need. Everything that you carried in, take another deep breath in and let it out. We vacuum, someone will vacuum up any kind of issue that you leave here. Take one more deep breath and hold it for a little bit. That breath is the neshama yitzhara, the extra soul that we receive on Shabbat. It reminds us that family is of the utmost importance. It reminds us that we celebrate our young people who enter the covenant. It reminds us that we need to take a step back from every day to see the painting that we're creating with our lives. We turn to page 120, 123, and invite up the Patterson family to light the candles and to say the Kiddush.
Aiden, Joel, and Kayla.
It's okay, you're gonna go over to the Cantor side. Although I'm glad you came this direction first.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who beholds us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Now make the little lever go down with your hand. Make the little top button go down. Pluck. Say the prayer.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu
The heavens and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Give a cup to Caleb, and then you
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu
melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, b'mitzvanu, b'shabbat kodsho, ba'ahava ton b'imlanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uvratzon, Hinaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim.
It's great. Sorry. L'chaim, a great start to tomorrow. Mazel tov.
Aiden, we're all looking forward to tomorrow. You have everything down perfectly and pat. And everyone who is there loves you. Right? We discussed this so many times. So just be you. You've got an old soul. Let that shine. On the bottom of page 124, we read together. May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfish and harshness. May the synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We turn to the Baruch Hu on page 146 as we rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai ha'mevorach. Baruch Hu et Adonai ha'mevorach. Baruch Adonai ha'mevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai ha'mevorach le'olam va'ed.
Back to the beginning.
Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai.
We continue reading together on the top of page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Na'al Hashevet, please be seated for the V'ahavta. Both the Shema and the V'ahavta are found in the Torah. And so these words that we chant are the same melody that we chant the Torah in. And if you noticed, I put a shin on my head while I was reciting the words of the Shema. The words of the Shema are the watchword of our faith. They remind us that there is one God, that there's no other. And if you look at the text, the ayin and the dalid are big. They're there and they're big to make sure that we realize that we're adim. Aid is the word for witness. And each and every one of us is a witness to what happens on this earth, the fact that we stand up for others, and we realize that somewhere, whatever you call it, there's something bigger than ourselves. And that may be God, or wisdom, or understanding, or listening. But there's something bigger. Page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך וביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו עשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Prayer back and forth fight. Bring it on. Yeah. And the winner will get a special treat tomorrow. We turn to page 646 and join together in singing Miriam's song, right into Mi Chamocha.
So be ready to turn back to 158, right after Miriam's song.
And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wore was one which sang our history. With every thread and every stretch she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to one whom we behold. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. As Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrel followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrel followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to one whom we belong. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Page 158. Yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai la lai, yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai, yai lai la lai 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 la lai, la lai la lai lai la 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 lai. Mi kamocha ba'eli Madonna, mi kamocha ne'tar kodesh, nora tehilo osei feleh. Nora tehilo osei feleh. Manehut tekara u'banecha, okei ayam lifnei Moshe Miriam. Ze'eli anu ve'ameru, ze'eli anu ve'ameru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
So I wanted to share with you that in the first and second temples, they had all kinds of instruments, and they played music of all sorts. And guess what happened when people listened to music? What did they do? They danced. So while you're all sitting there, stiff and frozen,
They were moving and they're moving.
okay. There you go. Moving in your seat. Stretch out your legs.
This is Jewish prayer dancing in this century. That was Jewish prayer dancing in that century.
All right. Okay. Beautiful prayer dancing in the sanctuary. We turn to page 164 as we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sefatati taku fi hagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Ha'gibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Omer Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zoher Chaservot V'imahot, Mevigur Nivnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo V'yahava, Melech Hozer Moshe Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Dizrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Michei Kol Atah, Rab Nehushia, Mashim HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Hayim Bechesed, Mechayev HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somich Nochlim Verfei Kodim, Umatir Azurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishei ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהלוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue on the top of page 171, reading together, and you may be seated. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk.
Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it.
Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We take a moment to read one of the meditations from page 172 to the top of page 178. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Ki ata melech adon, lehol hashalom. Ki ata melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. V'tov beinecha nevarech et Amcha Yisrael. Becholit uvekosha b'shalmecha. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam.
We take moments of silent prayer.
This is not a song in your prayer book, but it's a song that many of us need right now. The Hebrew is Nachamu, from the book of Isaiah, the 40th book of Isaiah. And it means it's asking God to comfort us during this very difficult time.
Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yamar Elohechem. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yamar Elohechem. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yomar Elohechem. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yomar Elohechem. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yamar Elohechem. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yomar Elohechem. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yamar Elohechem. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, Yamar Elohechem.
Thank you, Cantor. We turn in our prayer books to page 364 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of Torah. And I'd like to ask everyone to please rise.
Susharim Rosheichem V'chinasu B'tchei Olam
Marco?
V'yavu Melech HaKavod
We didn't get a door, bless her.
V'huize Melech HaKavod Adonai Tzevot U'melech HaKavod Selah U'melech HaKavod Selah Selah Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Gadol Shemo Lecha Adonai Hagedula Hagevura Ativeret V'Hanitzach V'Hahon Ki chol bashamayim uvaretz Ki chol bashamayim uvaretz Lecha Adonai amanacha V'minasi lechol lerosh Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Ha'olam ha'olam omir Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Ha'olam ha'olam omir Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gimilut chasadim Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gimilut chasadim והערננו בתורתך, ודבק לבנו במצוותיך, ויחי לבבינו, לאהבה ויראה את שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם בית, ולא נבוש לעולם בית, והערננו בתורתך, ודבק לבנו במצוותיך, ויחי לבבינו, לאהבה ויראה את שמך.
Please be seated. We call Lori Edelman up to do the blessings before and after the Torah.
If you want to follow along in one of the few Torah commentaries left in the sanctuary, when we had our rainstorm, it destroyed 34 prayer books and many Torah commentaries. So it's become a valuable commodity until we replace it. But if you can find it, on page 173 in the red Torah commentary.
And we're reading from Parsha Toldot, which is the story of the twins Esau and Jacob, and how God had told Rebekah that Jacob was going to succeed and be more successful than his older brother. And it's a very poignant story. We all know in the Torah that the younger siblings are the ones who become more powerful than the older siblings, turning the ancient Near East narrative on its head. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Avarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Ve'ele toldot Yitzhak ben Abraham. Abraham holid et Yitzhak. Yahi Yitzhak ben Abraham shana beheko. Et Rivkat batuil ha'arami mipadan aram. Achod lavan ha'arami lo lisha. Vayivater Yitzhak la'Adonai. V'nicha ishto ki yakarav hu. Vayivater lo Adonai. Vatar Rivka ishto.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Lori, you have a really nice voice.
Thank you.
Lori just joined our synagogue when Rabbi Edelman came, but we do have a choir. The choir is a fun place, right? We have some choir members here. All right, please rise.
This is Torah, Hashem Moshe, Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Israel. Abi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Lai 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 lai.
Usually, while the Torah is open before us, there are some prayers that we say. We say a prayer for those who return after surgery and come back to us healthy. A prayer for those who travel around the world and come back. And a mishaberach, a blessing for healing of all those who are in need of healing of body, spirit, mind, and soul. And I think that covers pretty much all of us here today. It's also okay to say a mishaberach for yourself when you need it. But when we say it in a community, somehow prayer seems to work. There was a study done at Harvard University about 15 years ago where there were 3 groups of people. People who knew that people were praying for them, people who didn't know that people were praying for them but had people praying for them, and a third group of people that didn't think anyone was praying for them and no one was praying for them. After the study, it was discovered that those who knew that they were being prayed for recovered at a faster rate. I don't know how it's possible, but there are a lot of things that I don't understand in this world. And I believe that when we pray for those who need it, sometimes they get exactly what they need. We hold in our prayers this week Rabbi Robert Orach, Martha Brandwin, Nancy Keller Coffey, Robert Summers, Jessica Knight, Niles Choper, Judith Landau, Pam Friedman, Eric Blumenfeld, Larry Boxman, Robert Goldman, Jean O'Connor, Myra Taxa, Bernard Shagan, Linda Kaplan, Baby Mark Y, Michael Gindi, Marianne Cardenas, and Nancy Baskin. And if there's anyone else who you're thinking of, please state their name when my eyes meet yours.
Michael Lynch.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. May all these souls hear our prayers. Mishaberach is found on page 371 in your prayer books.
Ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu, mikor habracha de'avotenu, those in need of healing with refuah shalema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We also hold in our thoughts all those families in Israel who are waiting for family members to return, and all those who have had to suffer in knowing that their children, that their family members are dead and will never come home. Our heart goes out to them.
We return the Torah to the Ark and continue on page 374.
It's Chaim hi lamachazikeba v'tov mecheha meushar derachega lechenu v'connectivoteha shalom ashivinu Adonai elecha v'nashua adishaminu kekedem adishaminu kekedem.
It's hard.
That was a big one.
I know.
I think we'll
Please
switch
be
Torah
seated.
soon.
I'm turning myself on. Microphone. I don't know about you, but I am exhausted. I'm exhausted by what's happening in Israel and in the Middle East, and how the narrative has been changed around. I'm exhausted by hearing what's happening on college campuses and realizing that it's most of the Jewish students who are pulling down the pictures of the hostages. They're the ones who believe that Israel is the oppressor. I'm exhausted because I realize that perhaps we didn't do a good enough job explaining to our youngsters what Israel is and what Israel is not. I'm going to offer a couple sessions of the history of Israel so that we can understand how this situation came to be. But I have been completely horrified by what I've seen in the world. In this week's Torah portion, Rebekah knows that Jacob is to be given the blessing over his brother Esau. And so Isaac, when his eyes are dim, calls Esau in and says to him, I know you're a fabulous hunter. Please go and get the meal which I love and bring it to me so that I may give you the blessing. Rebekah overhears in the corner and says to Jacob, her son, go to the flock in the back, bring me 2 goats, I will prepare them as your father likes. And Jacob, knowing that this is a little ridiculous, says, Dad's gonna know what I feel like, what my skin feels like. Don't worry, we'll take the skin of the goat and put it on your hands and the back of your neck. Esau is outside all of the time. He's hunting. He smells like sweat and energy and everything else that comes from the outside, and I don't smell like that. Go and take his bar mitzvah suit and put it on so that you can smell like him. Now, when someone loses one of their senses, their other senses heighten. So Isaac's eyes were dim, but that meant that he could hear better and that he could smell better. And although he questioned Jacob when he came in, he must have recognized the footsteps of his younger son and lied and gave him the blessing that was meant for his brother. Sometimes it says in the Torah that we can lie in order to keep the peace, shalom bayit, in our homes. But what I realized is that there are so many lies in deep levels that are going on in our country today. Israel is not an oppressor. And in fact, they have tried to build up the government of the Palestinian people so that they could support themselves. They gave them money. They brought in people to teach them how to build schools and apartment buildings and how to have indoor plumbing. And Netanyahu thought that the right people for this job was Hamas before they became a terrorist organization. Instead, they saw this as an opportunity. And they embedded themselves 100% among the innocent Palestinians. And they built a hospital right above their headquarters. Can you imagine the sacrifice? that innocent people are coming in to get health, to be well again. And in the next room are bombs and guns, and underneath them are terrorist cells. And that Israel has known that this is where they are. And they've tried to be careful going in before attacking. Most Israelis don't want innocent people killed. They want the Palestinian people to live in a free place where they're not put in front of Hamas and their children aren't used as shields. They recently looked at the media coming from Hamas, and their media genius is a 35-year-old American woman who's not Muslim. She's paid a high amount of money for what she does. And they looked at the media that they put out and realized that some of the photos were stock photos, that they had tried to erase the brand mark. But there were photos taken from all kinds of different sites on the computer. And then using AI, they put people into these pictures. They realized this week that the same man holding a dead child above his head is an actor used in every single picture. No one noticed it before because it's a child. And we were all focused on the death of a child who may or who may not have been dead. The entire world has been tricked into believing that this terrorist group wants the best for the Palestinian people. And they don't. They don't care about them. They have lied about that for years. And yet most people aren't listening to what's coming out. I remember when the New York Times ran the story, bright and early, of the bombing of the hospital, saying that 500 were dead, killed by an Israeli missile. And then later, we found out from not only other surveillance photos in the area taken by Egypt and some of the other countries, that this was just a misfire by a Hamas missile that hit the parking lot. On college campuses, it's hard for kids to figure out who is the oppressor and who is not. We all want people to be free, to be able to have their own land, to be able to learn in safety, to have indoor plumbing, to have everything that we have. And our college students want the same. And yet they believe, even Jewish students, that Israel is the oppressor. At Boston University, the president of Hillel marched behind a couple young women who were tearing down the hostage posters. And he put their names underneath it, and that they were active members of Hillel. And he tried to figure out and say, why are you doing this? Well, there are no hostages. No hostages were taken that day. Nothing happened in Israel that day. It's all made up. There's a video that Hamas made that day. They put cameras on everyone going into the land of Israel. And some of us have been able to see. And once you see, you can't unsee. What was done to children. and to parents, and to grandparents, to people who were just living their lives on a specific day. You cannot not see the blood and the glee of those people who came in firing guns, raping women, and laughing while they're doing it, torturing people in the most violent ways. It's not okay. And it will never be okay. So what we need to do is to not be like Isaac and let our eyes grow dim. That we need to keep our eyes and our ears and our hearts and our minds open. And that we need to speak up and fight for Israel and her people, for the return of the hostages, if there are any hostages to return, which I'm not so sure there are anymore, and to stand up to anti-Semitism. Since October 7th, anti-Semitism has risen 400% in this country. And yet, synagogues have not been effective. Day schools have not been effective. During protests, there's been violence. At colleges, there has been violence and no reckoning. And there are random acts, bizarre random acts, of someone stepping on a subway and seeing someone who they assume is Jewish because of how they look and smashing them down and other people joining in. We have allies now. The White House is coming out with a statement and a law limiting how much free speech is too much. And that acts of violence from free speech will lead to jail time. And so we need to speak out. We need to tell the truth instead of letting people see the lies. It's our responsibility as a Jewish people. My birth grandparents both survived Auschwitz, but their entire families did not. Their first spouses, their first children, their siblings, their parents, their cousins, their aunts and uncles. They survived. But then my birth grandfather couldn't deal with what he had seen, and he ended up taking his own life. I don't want that to happen to the people of Israel. They have seen far too much, and their children will need to be in therapy for years. You can't unsee what you've seen. So if you have a chance to join in a march like the one in DC, say yes and get on a bus and go. And listen to the people who speak. There were people from every place who spoke. Young women from colleges, a young woman whose family of Iranian Jews had to flee to this country and what they found here. We need to make this a peaceful place for all Americans. If you think you're the first Americans and you're not Native American, then you're not. We all need to think about this and how we've created this amazing country, a melting pot of restaurants, of cultures, of how anyone in Manhattan Jewish or not, knows what a schmear is. Or how Yiddish has come to be a part of vocabulary if you listen to the late night shows. There's a bissel of this and a bissel of that. May we continue to support each other. And may we continue to hold each other up when we get tired. This is not going to end soon. But we all need to stand together. We rise for Aleinu and turn to page 582.
86. I'm sure I did it wrong, Rabbi. Okay, I did it wrong. It was my fault. You didn't make a mistake.
Thank you.
586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'adek gedula le'otzer b'reishit, shehu noteh shamayim v'yotzer haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mimahal, u'shchinat uzo b'govhei meromim, u'Eloheinu ein-Hod. Manachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamnakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad. U'shemo echad.
So I'm number dyslexic, and the Cantor figured out a way to make the numbers massive so that I get them in the correct order. So I just wanted to point out that,
No, I made a massive incorrect number.
no, it's not massive,
Sorry about that.
but it wasn't due to my dyslexia.
Anyone who knows me is laughing that I'm the one in charge of the math on the Bima. But it's come to that.
Page 595. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep on shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. We remember in the period of Shloshim, those who have died in the past 30 days, Ellen Messing and David Wolf. We remember those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their death, falls at this time. Rose Burns, Mac Finkelstein, Albert Garin, William Goldstein, Julian Gottlieb, Joseph Grossman, Carrie Hamburger, Richard Hamburger, Arthur Harmon, Helen R. Jacobs, Sandy Liebesman, Rose Wellner Lifshitz, Dennis Malley, Alan Pratt, Norman Semler, Regina Sherman, Anna Singer, David Spelling, Calman Sperling, Falcone Sr., Paula Weisenfeld, Lucy Weisengrund, and Mark Fertig.
That's the list we were given.
Yeah, that's the
can
list
you-
that we were given.
Can you, oh, wait, where's that other? Hang on. I know
Thank
what you're
you.
talking about. Okay, this is another list.
Okay, I apologize.
Here, can you read it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm wearing my glasses. We remember those whose yahrzeit fall this week. Benjamin Appio, Max Bodner, Nachman Bregman, Ian Brightman, Eddie Cohan, Alan Fishman, Hugo E. Fleischman, Cynthia Ruth Fox, Bertha Friend, Frank Geiger, Robert Goodman, Dr. Hyman H. Graver, Burton Henry Kahn, Louis Kletter, Lena Kobozenska, Bertha Crindle, Theodore Wilcox Leverett, Joan Manicher, Sally Mausner, Rose Needleman, Iris Orak, Frank Singer, Adrian Spitz, Emma Telmer, and Miriam Weshnak. If there's anyone else that we should remember this week, please state their name. I sincerely apologize for not having the correct list. We turn to page 598, and together as one community, we remember the innocent Israelis who were killed in the past month, and the innocent Palestinians who were killed in the past month. We join together in the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, v'yamad divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'yomechon, v'chayei d'kol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam umei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kudushat richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram bi'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Please be seated.
Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
We invite forward at this time Margot Hassan, who represents the Board of Trustees, to offer some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. is the bar mitzvah of Aiden Patterson. Mazel tov to Aiden and his family. We stand with Israel in this perilous time. Our tzedakah box donations will support Magen David Adom. Magen David Adom is Israel's national emergency medical, disaster, ambulance, and blood bank service. Help is desperately needed to put more ambulances on the road and to replenish supplies for EMTs and paramedics and for MDA Blood Services Division. They're also supplying clothing and essentials to those who are moved from their homes in order to assure their safety. This charity gets the money to those directly in need in hours. MRT invites you to evening meditation sessions every Monday, 9 p.m. for 30 minutes. These sessions are designed to quell your racing mind and transition you into quiet and peaceful sleep. For more information and the Zoom link, please look at your weekly e-blast. Our annual Interfaith Thanksgiving service, God bless you, with the Shrewsbury Presbyterian Church will take place Wednesday, November 22nd at 8 p.m. Please save the date, Friday, December 8th, 6 p.m. for the Hanukkah Shabbat service, followed by dinner and a party. Check the e-blast for more information. Spread the joy this holiday season as part of MRT Religious School's annual holiday giving. We have 2 great opportunities to help our neighbors. Information can be found in the e-blast. Everything's in the e-blast. It's just so long, you got to keep scrolling. So don't give up. Keep scrolling. MRT continues to engage together in meaningful ways. We would love for more people to invest in our mission of connecting as a Jewish community. Our main office, our clergy are always there for you. I'm going to be at the Oneg, where we have freshly brewed decaf coffee and lots of tasty treats. So anybody who doesn't know me, please come. I'll be there. Come say hi. Let's meet. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Margot. It's so friendly. I'd like to make a plug to take a break from your cooking on Wednesday and be here at 8. It's an absolutely beautiful service that we do with the Shrewsbury Presbyterian Church. Before we had a building, oh, those were the days. Before we had a building, we were over at the church, and we were there for several years. We had worship there. We had religious school there. There are people who belong to our temple now who still remember going to worship at the church for Shabbat, because churches don't have anything really going on Friday and Saturday. So it was a good fit. And now their church comes to our synagogue once a year, and then the next year, Rabbi, you get to go see their beautiful church, and their choir joins with our choir. And we've been practicing for weeks, and the bell choir comes. And Reverend Katya said to the rabbi, I don't understand why the Jews are so enamored of the bell choir. And I said, I've told the Reverend this before, for us it's very exotic, the bell choir. That's really nice. So it's at 8 o'clock, and I hope you'll be here, and then there'll be another oneg with freshly brewed coffee and things like that.
And sweet treats.
Yeah, lots of sweet treats. Did I forget anything? Sorry. What did I forget? Oh, Brenda, the Presbyterian Church has a mezuzah on their door that we gave them. That's right, Brenda. We have a really good relationship with them. Just in case we have to return. Back to, Cora.
Might be noted, and it's interesting to know that the church used to have every week, took down the cross, put up a Jewish star, and then when we left, they took that away, and the other cross went up. So they really did accommodate us, they welcomed us, and they wanted us to be here. And it's been a history for so many years.
That is so beautiful. So we're lucky. So
Do we
please.
have a final song?
Our final song is Hatikva. Every week this is requested, and this is the Israeli national anthem. So if you wish to rise, on page 678, Hatikva means the hope. So as long as within the inmost heart a Jewish spirit sings, and the eye looks eastward, gazing toward Zion, our hope is not lost. The hope of 2,000 years to be a free people in our land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. Kol od baleva benima, nefesh Yehudi omia, ulfatei mizach kadima, ayin letzion Sophia. חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון בירושלים.
We join together in making motzi.
Aiden, you want to come up and help us? Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam,
hamotzi
lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Shabbat shalom. See you next door.